Soul Garden.
Introducing Secrets of Birthdays. Bow chicka bow wow. Are you ready to find love? Bow chicka bow wow. Your secrets are coming out. Bow chicka bow wow. All those sexy secrets are available at secretsofbirthdays.com. Bow chicka bow wow, baby. Hello, my fellow soul gardeners, and welcome now to Astro 102. That's right. If you've watched the first 12 episodes, you officially graduate Astro 101. We're now on to Astro 102, where we're going to be talking about the houses and transits and getting a lot deeper in the charts so we have a full understanding. Well, we've talked about the planets, we've talked about the signs. Now let's talk about the houses. And houses are an interesting thing. This is an example chart. This is actually my chart. That's right. Isn't it gorgeous? I love my chart. But that's me. I'm an astrologer. And houses, as you probably know, are these imaginary little quadrants around the chart. We're going to be zooming in on this too for those of you who can't see. These quadrants are imaginary. It's kind of like the equator on the Earth. It's an imaginary line. Latitude and longitude are imaginary, so to speak. They're sectors of 30 degrees all the way around, equaling up to 360 degrees. And each house, each little pie, has a value. Each of them has a ruling sign, a natural ruling sign, as we like to say. So today we're going to talk about the first house, which is this house right here, and the seventh house, which is this house up here, okay, down to down. Now what's interesting, this is going to blow your mind, but there's really not 12 states of consciousness. There are 6, okay? These 6 states of consciousnesses each have a polarity. So Aries, the ruler of the first house, is the opposite sign of Libra, which is the ruler of the 7th house. So it's an Aries-Libra vibration. Aries is on one side of the spectrum, Libra is on the other side of the spectrum. And today we're going to use suns as examples, where a sun happens to be in your chart. But let's first talk about what the first house is. The first house is the Aries natural vibration. It is your ego, all right? So whatever's in the first house, we know that this is your personality, this is your charisma, this is your ego. Ego includes your natural defense mechanisms. Ego always includes an audience, really, because you have to interact with someone in order for your ego to come up. That's what ego is about. It's a state of consciousness that we project in order to protect ourselves and also to represent ourselves, all right? So ego really is just the I, which is what Aries is about, I, all right? Then opposite of this, in the 7th house, okay, is Libra. And Libra is relationships. It's not it's I and someone else, how we relate, how our energies relate. The 7th house is all about really how we relate to ourselves, how we get into marriages, how we get into partnerships, the rules around these partnerships and marriages, okay, and maintaining balance between the I and the we. So you can see between the first house and the 7th house, would that be right? Between the first house and the 7th house, you are having a delicate balance between the needs of the I and the needs of the we. And depending on what planets you have there, it kind of gives us astrologers an idea of which area of energetic is dominating, right? So for instance, let's talk about the sun, since the sun is the most obvious and predominant planet in the horoscope. If the sun is in the first house, that means that you are a person that is living through ego, that you are here to really understand yourself, the sun, by seeing your reflection in others, all right? So these are kind of egotistical people, but not necessarily in a bad way. They may be humble with their ego, but their ego is very powerful. And they're very hungry for ego. They're very hungry for people's opinion, because without an audience, they really don't understand themselves. They don't have that reflection of themselves kind of built yet in their soul. So they're building self-reflection from having the sun in the first. These are usually very charismatic people. These are usually people that light up a room when they walk in. These are people that are kind of walking celebrities. In fact, many celebrities have their sun in the first house. And it's not about being famous. It's about they need the attention to understand who they are. So it's kind of a deal when you're a celebrity. The deal is you get to learn about yourself and the whole world gets to think you're a star. To give you an example, Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt has his sun in the first house in Sagittarius. And Brad definitely lights up a room. Beauty often comes with sun in the first house as well, because if you look hot, you're going to draw attention. There's going to be something in your charisma, there's going to be something in your ego that draws in attention. You also find sometimes people who are egotistical and go too far with their sun in the first house, and I don't really research those people because I find those people rather boring. Now, if your sun is in the 7th house, then your entire life is kind of dedicated to the context of the we. You are a natural-born husband. You are a natural-born wife. You are a natural-born father or mother because you're always taking in consideration the other side of the equation. I find that people with their sun in the 7th house tend to be married to powerful people because powerful people need spouses that aren't going to get caught up in the drama and the crap, right? They need someone that can stand by their side and be there for them in every way, shape, and form. Good example of a sun in the 7th house celebrity is Princess Diana, okay? She's a Cancer. Her sun is in the 7th house. She made a fantastic princess. She would have made a fantastic queen. She made a fantastic mother. She just got it, right? She didn't need any instruction on how to be a wife in that regard. She just got it. She was born to know it, and she's a perfect partner in every way. Even in the businesses that she invested in and where she did goodwill on the planet, she was an excellent sun in the 7th house example. So using the 1st house, 7th house paradigm, we're always trying to draw balance. Princess Diana should have been more egotistical, okay? That would have helped her out a bit. She needed something to balance her in that 1st house. So if you have a lot of planets in the 7th, you are working to develop ego. You're always working to develop the opposite side of the house because you want balance, after all, in a chart. We know Brad Pitt, okay, who screwed over Jennifer Aniston, and right now looks like Angelina Jolie's in the crapper as well. Clearly, it's all ego. It's all him, right? And he needs to learn how to be a better husband. He needs to learn how to be a better partner. He needs to learn how to balance that energy over into the 7th house. So in your charts, if you have your sun in the 1st or 7th, ask yourself these questions, and you can expand beyond the sun. Mercury, which is how you communicate, Mercury in the 1st house, the house of ego, is someone that just won't be quiet, okay? They're chatty Cathys, chat, 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 chat. A person with Mercury in the 7th house tends to only open up and talk to people who they feel married to, who they feel safe with, behind the scenes of their ego. The 7th house has the ego to protect it, right? And the ego has someone in the 7th house usually to protect them. So you can expand with the other planets. Mercury, of course, communication. Jupiter, where your fortune comes. If Jupiter's in the 1st house, you get great fortune by putting yourself out there, by being charismatic, by expanding your ego. Jupiter in the 7th, you will draw fortune from your partnerships. Your partnerships will be there by your side. You will always be answered to your needs as far as if you expand and if you move into partnership. And we can go through all of them. The only other planet I'll talk about real quickly is Pluto. If you have Pluto in the 1st house, then you have ego issues. You are regenerating your ego, and you tend to be someone that ends up being in a lot of conflict. A lot of people don't like you. You don't know why. That's because you're working to redevelop your ego, so you're drawing in kind of conflict. Pluto in the 7th would be just the opposite. You have a lot of karma with your long-term relationships, right? So you are going to probably be through several relationships, and your relationships will probably be a big struggle, but a source of a lot of powerful growth. Okay, well that wraps up the first episode of Astro 102. I hope it was good for you. Remember to post your questions and keep posting your charts. We're going to use your charts soon instead of the famous people, and I will see you next time for Astro 102. Can't find love? That day is over. With just 8 numbers, we can reveal all your secrets to sex and love. We call it Secrets of Birthdays, the Love and Lust Report. Find out the secret to your heart at secretsofbirthdays.com.